In the Rubel text in Chapter 4, they discuss other considerations for the consultant, and of course that text is referring to the COMPAS program, but these considerations would apply to any consultative team, not just a team focusing upon ASD. And one of the, I think, critical pieces they talk about are the different characteristics of external versus internal consultants. So we're talking about consultants as members of the team. And we very often work with folks from outside the school system, for example, and they may be very unfamiliar with our setting and the other personnel, what is possible during the school day, what a school day looks like, what schedules look like. And so I know I've often had recommendations made by external consultants that really are more or less impossible as they are designed initially to have happen within the school setting. So to work through those issues. And those folks need to depend on the views of others about what is possible and reasonable within the school system. Teachers might be a little more willing to share information sometimes with exterior kinds of consultants. And sometimes the folks from outside of school are given more influence, maybe even more than they perhaps should be given. It's kind of that joke about you're an expert if you live so many miles away from where you're sharing all of your knowledge. So we have to really balance things again and have parity among all of the consultants. The internal consultants within the school, of course, that's not just teachers, but all the folks in the school are often more accepted by the other members because there's a familiarity issue. They also may have multiple responsibilities. So we mentioned briefly that your role on the team, the consulting team, may be different than your title. We also mentioned how many different roles a teacher plays. So there could be a lot of different things going on there, and there has to be a balance. They have the familiarity, of course, with the setting and personnel. But they may be more or less uncomfortable interacting with administration. So sometimes that relationship between an external versus an internal consultant and administrators might be very different as well. So just things to think about as you work with folks from outside your system. The teacher characteristics that they bring to the team are their primary responsibilities for the student's program. So they're kind of the key person with regard to the facilitation of the program. They have to have a lot of knowledge about alternative assessment, of course. They also oversee the quality of the IEP. They have such limited time. We mentioned time before. There are very few people with less time than a teacher in most circumstances. So you know how hard it is to make a phone call you need to make during the day. So having a meeting to consult about a student and the time you would need to be productive is very tough. And familiarity with the parents and the students' considerations are a key piece that the teacher can bring to the table because they are most likely to have interacted with the family the most.